I have one tip for you. It's an awesome tip. It's like one of my best kind of technical composition tips that I have ever. And if you have not heard this before, which you may not have, like, this will affect hundreds, if not thousands of the photos that you've taken. I know that it did in my work. And once you see this, you're never able to unsee it. Like I see it in my work. I see it in so many other photographers' work. And it's something that's easy that you can instantly change, and it will make a huge impact in your photography. I'm Luke Cleland. I'm a wedding photographer, and I have been a wedding photographer for over a decade. And now I run a 6-figure wedding photography business here in Toronto. And one thing that I've learned a lot about over the years is composition. And I always thought my compositions were very strong. I have a art background and degree. I felt like I was really good. And so I didn't think that I had any major kind of blind spots in composition until I learned this one thing. And part of the reason why I was so blind to it was because what makes you blind to it is because you're doing something else that's really important in photography. And that is, well, focusing. Like, focusing on your subject also happens to create this other problem in the composition. So, are you ready? I'm gonna share it with you. I'm gonna share with you this amazing tip. But before I do, make sure I have 2 big points after I tell you the actual tip, and those are really integral to understanding the full incredibleness of this tip that I'm gonna share with you. I promise it's good, because you need to fix those 2 things before you fix the thing that I'm gonna give you the tip about, okay? Okay, here it is. The tip is, you probably leave too much room above the head of your subject. Start looking through some of the images that you've taken this past weekend and see how much space is at the top of your subject's head, and how often do you cut off the toes or feet of your subject. Now, I know that might seem like almost a little silly and like too simple, but I am telling you, there is something underneath those reasons why you have those things there, why I had those things in my photos without even realizing it. I never even realized how much space I always left above my subject's head until I saw it for the first time. And then it just like, that's all I could see over and over and over again. If you actually fix this issue in your photos, oh my goodness, it's amazing what it does to your photos. It's amazing what it does to your composition. And it opens up this complete other world of really impactful images that you just can't get if you don't fix this issue. Okay, and speaking of fixing things, before we get to the rest of the video, I want to quickly announce that I am doing some more live classes. Okay, these were a big hit when I did the Flash live classes earlier this year. You guys really loved them. I loved doing them. It was so cool to connect with you guys and to go dive deep into a specific topic. And so I have 4 classes coming up this month. One is posing and direction, like how do I get those magazine-worthy images just with every single couple that I work with. How to shoot like Neri. If you like my style, that romantic, timeless film look, and you want to know how to actually do that with your camera and your settings and lighting, that class would be for you. The perfect coverage. If this is probably if you're maybe a little bit earlier in your photography career and you're not sure, like, what are the photos that I need to be getting for a full wedding day? Like, am I doing this correctly? Am I doing all the coverage that I should be doing? I'm going to walk you through all the shots that I do, how I do it. And that's going to be a cool class. That's going to be an in-depth one, but it's going to be awesome. And then the last one is flat lays and details. If you want to amp up your artistry, if you want to be working in the corner and then people from the bridal party are like, what? Like, that is so beautiful. Like, you are such an artist putting that together. If you want some help in knowing how to style flat lays and details at the beginning of a wedding day, you're going to want to check out that class. These are all going to be 2 to 3 hour long classes. And then we also do, after the class, we do a Q&A, which is honestly like one of my favorite parts of these classes, because not only do we do the education portion of everything, but then we spend a ton of time like making sure that you feel confident to leave that class and to implement it in your wedding next weekend, in your engagement shoot, in whatever shoot is coming up. So I really love these Q&As. And if you're interested in these classes, make sure you sign up, because I'm only doing these a couple times live with the Q&As. So if you're interested, and I keep them as small classes because I want to be able to interact with you guys. I want to be able to have great discussions. So we keep these classes small. So make sure to head over to my website and sign up. So the first of the two big reasons, and I've already alluded to this, of why there's this space issue above people's head and the space issue typically at the feet or the bottom, is because, especially when you're starting out in photography, you're so focused on focus, right? You're so focused on making sure that the eyes are sharp, that the face is sharp, that like you're getting either the focus box or like the little eye thing at the right spot. And you're like, oh my goodness, this moment is happening, and I need to like make sure that this photo is like visible, that it's sharp. That you are so focused on that you forget about the composition. That you're so focused on the action that's happening and making sure that it's sharp, that you're forgetting to stop and kind of back up and look at, okay, what's going on in my frame? Something that really helped me with this is shooting film. I really recommend, if you're any type of photographer, whether you want to incorporate film into your photography or not, it is an incredible exercise to just get any type of cheap like camera, any film camera that you can find in your dad's or your grandpa's closet or your mom's closet or whatever. Find the cheapest thing you can and put some film in there and take some photos. Because what happens is, when you have that sense of, I'm taking a photo and this photo is valuable, because you know that each photo costs you money to develop, you look at the photos a little differently. You scan the entire frame to make sure like, okay, is everything okay? And when you start doing that, that's when you realize, you're like, oh, do I want like half of the photo to be above their head, or do I want to tilt my camera down more so I can see maybe the entire person? Oh, you know what? I'm realizing that their feet are kind of cut off at the end. Okay, maybe let me back up a little bit. So it makes you actually look at the screen or the image. I find with digital photos, we've been so kind of obsessed and focused on clarity and sharpness and focus that it's easy to forget about the composition. And kind of the automatic move, at least for me, is to kind of center the subject in the middle of the camera, make sure it's focused, and then boom, get that photo. But when you use film, or you think about photography in a film-like way, you tend to, okay, I'm gonna get the subject, and then you take a little scan around and you look like, is this photo worth this click? Do I want to spend the $1 or 25 cents it costs in order to take this photo? And it really makes you think in a different way. The other big reason that I think that this happens is stress. So something that I've noticed in my own work is that in areas where I got more and more stressed, or the moment kind of got a little crazy, I found that I would be less precise with how much space is either above my subject's head or the bottom of the feet or wherever it's being cut off. And I think that's just classic tunnel vision, right? It's easy for us to just be really focused, really pinpointing our focus on just the most important area, which is often, someone's face in a moment in an event like a wedding. And so because of that, because if we get more and more stress, we're just looking at kind of the most important thing, which is the face. And because we're stressed, we want to make sure that it's in the photo. So we kind of subconsciously put it in the middle of the frame. Like, we don't want it near the edge where it's scary and something could get cut off. We want it to be safe in the middle. And so also in stressful scenarios, I often will find that, oh, I'm leaving a little bit too much space. And so I need to, even in stressful scenarios, take a deep breath and remember, like, it's not just the moment that's the most important thing. I think as you develop as a photographer, you realize that, like, it's one thing to just get to the photo, right? And as you become more experienced, you realize being a really great photographer, being an excellent photographer, is not only capturing the moment, but capturing the moment in such a way that makes the moment even more impactful. And that's what composition is, right? It multiplies the impactfulness of an image with how you view the moment, what you choose to include, what you choose not to include. So yes, of course, it's important to get the focus of your subject, but just at your next shoot, just think to yourself, like, okay, I need to tilt my camera down. Like, I need to get this camera down so I can have not so much space above the subject's head to be able to include more of them. Be aware of where you're cutting off the feet, where you're cutting off the waist, that it's not at weird, places. And of course, yes, weddings, especially, you can be in a lot of stressful situations, but even in the stressful situations, take a deep breath and just think like, okay, I know I gotta take this shot, but take a quick glance around and see, maybe the head doesn't need to be right smack dab in the middle of my frame. Maybe I can move it up a little bit and then I can, be able to include more of the bride's dress, for example. And that's why, especially as a wedding photographer like myself, the more that I can include of, it's such a waste. There's so many photos where there's just, I see photographers have so much space above their head, unintentionally, that they're missing so much of the detail of a bride's dress, for example, where if they just tilt it down a little bit, you're able to tell so much more of the story instead of having this huge airspace above the person's head. Even though this might sound simple, I am telling you, if you try to just be a little bit more aware of where the top and the bottom of the frame hits your subjects, it is going to be a game changer in your photos, because you're going to start seeing photos that it's hard to explain more than just it feels more complete. It feels less, cut off, and it just feels more juicy, more depth, more intention, and I think you're just gonna create better photographs. Comment and let me know, are there other really simple things that you've learned along the way as a photographer that, even though they were really simple, were actually really impactful in your work? Okay, bye.